When a mother walked into the station begging for help, the officer at the front desk laughed. He told her she was overreacting, that kids wander off all the time and she should stop being dramatic. He had no idea her son was already dying, and he certainly didn't expect the 911 call that would expose every mistake he made. A call he would have to listen to, word by word, breath by breath, scream by scream. And by the time it ended, his entire world had changed. The night began with a quiet drizzle over the small town of Brookdale, the kind of soft rain that makes the streetlights glow like halos and wraps the world in a blanket of stillness. But inside one modest home on the corner of Maple and Harper, there was nothing still about the chaos unfolding. Jordan Miles was pacing circles in her living room, her hands trembling, tears streaking down her cheeks. Her 11-year-old son, Caleb, had not come home after walking to the corner store. He should have been back 20 minutes ago. Instead, his phone went straight to voicemail, his location stopped updating, and the store clerk hadn't seen him since he bought a pack of gum. Jordan's heart thudded with a kind of fear that doesn't come from the imagination, but from instinct. Mothers always know, and she knew something was wrong. She grabbed her purse, keys dangling from her shaking fingers, and rushed out the door, heading straight for the Brookdale Police Department. The rain intensified, tapping urgently against her windshield as though echoing her panic. Inside the station, fluorescent lights flickered overhead. A radio crackled. The scent of burnt coffee lingered in the air. At the front desk sat Officer Rick Holden, a man in his mid-40s with a belly that rested confidently on the edge of his belt, a smug smirk permanently etched on his lips, and the unmistakable aura of someone who believed he had the whole world and everyone in it figured out. Jordan approached the counter breathlessly. "Officer, please. My son is missing. He hasn't come home. His phone is off. Something's wrong. Something's really, really wrong." Holden looked up slowly, eyebrows raised in mild irritation, not concern. "Ma'am, take a breath," he drawled. "Kids get distracted. He's probably playing with friends or holed up in someone's house watching TV." Jordan shook her head vigorously. "No, you don't understand. Caleb never does this. He always comes home. He always texts. This isn't normal." Holden let out a chuckle, a tiny, dismissive puff of air that felt like a slap. "You mothers," he muttered, shaking his head. "Always assuming the worst. Look, he's, what, 10, 11? 11, she said. "Exactly. At that age, I used to disappear on my bike for hours, drive my mom crazy. It's normal." Jordan's voice cracked. "This isn't normal for my son." Holden leaned back in his chair, folding his arms like a man preparing to lecture. "Brookdale is safe. We don't have kidnappings here. No missing kids cases, and definitely no emergencies caused by a kid visiting a corner store." Jordan stared at him, her heart pounding so hard she could barely breathe. "Please, I'm begging you." Holden rolled his eyes. "We don't file missing persons for kids until at least 24 hours. Come back in the morning if he's still not home." That was the sentence. The sentence that would later haunt him. Jordan gasped, unable to believe what she was hearing. 24 hours? He could be in danger right now. Please just put out a call. Alert patrol. Something." Holden waved her off, turning back to his computer. "Ma'am, go home. Make some tea. He'll show up." But Caleb wasn't going to show up, because 3 miles away, in an abandoned lot behind the old hardware store, a terrified boy was hiding behind a dumpster, his little body trembling, blood trickling from a cut on his forehead, and his voice cracking as he whispered into the dark, "Mom, please find me." He wasn't alone. Someone was hunting him in the shadows. Jordan didn't go home. She couldn't. Instead, she drove through every street, every alley, calling her son's name until her throat burned. After an hour, her voice disappeared entirely. Her heart didn't. Meanwhile, Officer Holden sat comfortably at the station, sipping lukewarm coffee and scrolling through his phone. He felt no urgency. Why would he? In his mind, Jordan was just another panicked parent with an overactive imagination. He had no clue the phone lying on his desk was about to ring with a call that would change everything. At 8:47 p.m., the 911 dispatcher transferred something unusual. A faint, whispering boy's voice with muffled sobs in the background. "Help me, please." "I'm scared." Holden frowned. "What's the location?" he asked. The dispatcher read it off. The abandoned lot behind Carter's Hardware. Holden almost dismissed it. The area was always filled with prank calls from teenagers trying to sound cool. He nearly hung up. But then he heard something else. Something that froze him. A man's footsteps, heavy, deliberate. Then a man's voice. Thick, gravelly, dripping with menace. "Where are you, kid? I'm not done with you yet." The boy's breathing quickened. "Please," he whispered. "Somebody help me." Then a loud crash. A scream, and the call cut. Holden sat motionless, color draining from his face. The dispatcher spoke again. "Officer Holden, do we have units?" His mouth felt dry. "Yes," he said, standing abruptly. "Yes, sending units now." But that wasn't enough. For the first time in years, Holden felt something sharp pierce through his ego. Fear. Not the kind that comes from danger. The kind that comes when you realize you've made a mistake. So catastrophic. It may never be undone. He grabbed his radio and keys and ran out the door. The lot was eerily quiet when Holden arrived. His flashlight cut through the darkness, illuminating broken crates, tall weeds, and rusting metal. The rain had slowed to a mist. "Police!" Holden shouted. "If anyone can hear me, call out." Silence, then a tiny whimper. Holden swung his light toward the dumpster. There, curled into himself, shaking violently, was Caleb. His clothes were torn, his face stained with dirt and tears. Holden rushed over. "Kid, it's okay. You're safe now. I'm here." Caleb recoiled, pressing himself against the dumpster. No, you didn't help. I called. Nobody came." The words hit Holden like a blow to the gut. Before he could respond, a figure burst out from the shadows behind him, tall, muscular, wearing a dark jacket and ski mask. Holden drew his weapon. "Police, don't move!" The man didn't stop. He charged. Holden fired once. The shot echoed through the lot. The attacker collapsed. Backup arrived seconds later. Paramedics swarmed Caleb. Detectives cordoned off the area. But Holden just stood frozen, haunted by the truth. He could have prevented this. If he had listened, if he had acted, if he had taken a grieving mother seriously. Jordan arrived at the scene after detectives called the number she left at the front desk. She ran toward her son, dropping to her knees beside him, clutching him to her chest as he cried. But then she saw Holden, and she understood everything. "You," she whispered. Holden looked at her, guilt swallowing him whole. "Ma'am, no," she said, shaking her head. "You didn't listen. You didn't care. I begged you. I begged you." Holden tried to speak, but his voice cracked. "I'm sorry." Jordan's eyes burned with a pain he couldn't even comprehend. Sorry doesn't erase what he went through. Sorry doesn't erase the fear. Sorry doesn't erase the fact that he could have died because you thought I was being dramatic. Holden lowered his head. He had no defense, no excuses left. And for the first time in his career, he felt something he had never truly felt before. Shame. The next day, the audio of the 911 call reached Internal Affairs. They paired it with the station footage. Jordan pleading for help. Holden laughing, Holden waving her away. The department called it the most disturbing negligence case in years. Reporters called it mother ignored, child endangered. The public called it Brookdale's breaking point. Holden was suspended immediately. An internal review followed, and for weeks he sat alone replaying the same questions. Why didn't I listen? Why didn't I take her seriously? How many other people did I dismiss? How many could have been hurt? But the question that haunted him most was the one he couldn't answer. Would Caleb still have been hurt if Holden had acted sooner? 3 months later, the department held a community forum. Jordan was there, stronger now, her son safe beside her. Holden attended too, not for himself, but because deep down he knew he needed to hear what would be said. Jordan stepped up to the podium. "My son is alive," she began, "and for that I'm grateful. But what happened to him never should have happened. Not in a town that claims to protect its residents, not in a station meant to serve the community, not because of an officer who thought he knew better than a mother's instincts." She paused, trembling, but her voice stayed firm. No mother should have to beg for help. No child should pay the price for a grown man's ego. The room fell silent. Holden's eyes filled with tears he refused to let fall. When she finished, she stepped away from the podium, and for a moment, a brief moment, her eyes met Holden's. No forgiveness, not yet. Maybe not ever, but she saw something new in him, the weight of accountability, and he carried it heavily. Stories like this leave us with a question. How many tragedies could be prevented if the people sworn to protect us simply listened? And what would you have done if you were the officer or the mother? Tell us in the comments below. And if stories like this matter to you, if you believe in accountability, justice, and truth, subscribe to the channel to hear more stories that challenge us, move us, and expose the moments that change lives forever.